Good evening, everyone. This is Abhilasha, and here we have Mr. Girish Batra, the founder of Sarthy Venture Investment Partners. He is a seasoned entrepreneur turned a strategist who now is inspired to help startups overcome their problems and to enrich the startup ecosystem. So today he will be answering some pertinent questions that we have about the startup ecosystem. So firstly, sir, there has been a recent slowdown in the late stage investment market. What do you think could be the reason behind it? To put things into context, VC firms were pouring in about $38.5 billion into startups in 2021, but now that amount has reduced by less than half. And it's become fairly difficult for startups to secure funding now in the late stage. So what do you think could be the reason behind that?
First of all, thanks Abhilasha for having this conversation. I have been an avid watcher, come contributor to the startup ecosystem for almost 10 years now. And I have seen it through its ups and downs, the SoftBank era, post-SoftBank era, 100 unicorn era, and then maybe the post-100 unicorn era. And when I came into this enablement game, I realized that something key is wrong in this startup ecosystem about the fundraise game. It's like saying the 1% of the startups are garnering almost 90% of the funds which are there in the ecosystem, and they are the ones who are raising funds in regular cycles, some every year, some even less than a year also. And that's the lack of understanding in the VC system of whom to back. And that's why it's created that herd bias in the VC ecosystem of someone who's backed. People believe, okay, the person before me knows that it's a good startup, so I'll also back them. And that created bubbles. And bubbles, sometime or the other, kind of crash. We've seen the dot-com bubble in the US. We've seen the housing bubble in the US in 2008. So that happened to a few startups in India. That VCs, especially the late stage VCs, were backing startups with weak fundamentals. After IPO, Paytm's share crashed. And as per Mr. Vijay Shekhar Sharma, he said our business model is evolving. Now, that is a very dangerous statement to make for a public limited company who's raised funds and who's valued at $20 billion. Yeah. So that was the spoiled era in the VC ecosystem. And I was eagerly waiting for this bubble to kind of shake so that the real startups get back. And that's what's happening. The startup 2.0 from India will be startups who will raise limited funds before they hit IPO. So my dream is that any startup should not raise more than 100 crores till it's self-sustaining. IPO, no IPO is different. Yeah? Because too much funding spoils the child. Too much. So that's what happened. And the biggest losers are the late stage funders who come in Series C, D, E. They were expecting IPO exit at say 2x to 5x return. They have got 0.5x. So the SoftBanks, the Axels, they burned their fingers by coming much later in the game at say 2 billion, 10 billion valuation. And they didn't get exits at a profit in the IPO. So I see the startup ecosystem evolving in terms of early stage, really good deals, getting good funds, even today. But the late stage deals who are kind of blown up in terms of valuation with poor fundamentals, they will be the ones under crisis. And they are the ones who are downsizing. Like I read the recent figure of 10,000 layoffs. These are layoffs from startups who got bloated, and the early stage VCs told them scale at any cost. So that scale at any cost suddenly has changed to scale only if you are profitable. So that mantra has changed, and I'm happy that mantra has changed because now real startups will come out. The real startups with strong business models will get supported.
Thank you, sir. And what are your thoughts on the practice of startups that are burning through cash to get customers? Do you think this is against the spirit of finding organic product market fit?
See, the fear in every startup is they lose the race. The fear in every VC is they lose the race with someone who's first in the game. That formula is also changing. The first in the game is rarely the biggest in the game now, the second, third, fourth. And you've seen so many verticals where Amazon was not the first e-commerce in India, but Amazon, Flipkart, they won the e-commerce game. Yeah. So we've seen so many people who won the game, even though they are not first, second, third. So buying customers by burning a lot of cash is good, provided your unit economics are right. Yeah. And that has to be checked again and again and again, because Paytm saw it. They raised to almost crores of people using the Paytm app. But they thought they'd monetize by selling insurance, by selling mutual funds to these, and people didn't buy insurance and mutual funds from Paytm. So that's the dangerous game. So if your unit economics are positive, you can scale, but at the same time, scale slowly, because scaling fast may lead you to a million customers, but less than 0.1% paying, and which is no use. Those million customers will disappear when the freebies work.
Yes, sir. Well said. And the last question for today is, so we all know that in this age, being an entrepreneur is very much glorified. But we know that being an entrepreneur is very difficult, actually. It's not easy. They have to deal with angry customers, frustrated employees, and anxious investors. So what is your advice to an entrepreneur in today's day?
First of all, I'm a proponent of entrepreneurship. For the last 5 years, I believe that we Indians were consumers for the American innovators, be it consumers of Microsoft, consumers of Google, consumers of HP. We were consumers, and we are every fifth person in the world is an Indian. So I was eagerly itching that Indians should be innovators and the consumer should be on the other side, because we got so much advantage. We've got English education back, folks. We've got risk-taking youngsters. So I encourage a lot of entrepreneurs to take the plunge, to become entrepreneurs. At the same time, we have to understand it's not an easy game. It's a game which you need to marry patience and failure. These are the two critical tools. So fail again and again so that you'll succeed quickly. Fail small, fail again and again so that you'll succeed quickly, and be patient. So perseverance and patience are two big assets which entrepreneurs, I've seen successful entrepreneurs have. And somehow it comes from within, and sometimes it comes from that inner resilience of being, what's that word when Nassim Taleb used it, of anti-fragile. So the more you get into entrepreneurship, yeah, you'll become anti-fragile, because this entrepreneurship world will season you into being an anti-fragile entrepreneur. But the more you marry perseverance and patience, the more the probability of success for an entrepreneur in this startup ecosystem. And I'm happy to say that I'm seeing in the next 5 years, American, European customers using Indian innovations. Zoho is a big case study. So I'm happy to say that the next 5 years, we'll be seeing reverse innovation of Indian innovations being used across the world. And that's what excites me in this startup world in India.
Glad to hear that, sir. Thank you so much for sharing. There were some very valuable takeaways in this talk. So
thanks, Abhilasha. I really enjoy, and startups is my favorite topic. So thanks everyone for hearing this out. We'll be back with our next episode. Take care. God bless you. Bye.
Thank you.